Good morning, everybody, or good
Good
afternoon,
morning.
depending on where you are. Mark, good morning. I
Good morning,
see
Brandon.
we have a handful of people already hanging out in the lobby, uh, or I guess now in the live stream. So good to see all of you. It's been a week. I'm gonna stall for a minute while we let everyone file in. Um, I appreciate everyone being here. It's been a heck of a week. I don't know how you catch the flu on a day where it's 80 degrees out, but lo and behold, myself and our presenter on Tuesday, Jeremy, both got sick. And you can hear, like, I'm not just doing a snuffleupagus imitation, like, I've still got some stuff going on. So I apologize. I'll explain here in a minute what we're going to do about Tuesday's webinar that we had to cancel. But yeah, it looks like we have a handful of people in here. So, as always, for those of you, if this is your first time, or even if you're returning, over on the right side of your screen, whether you're on LinkedIn, sorry, we're not using LinkedIn for this one, whether you're on promevo.com or you're in StreamYard, over on the right side, you'll see a section for comments. That's where we'd love to hear your questions, any feedback that you have, any thoughts that you have. We'd love to get the interaction from you. I think for this one, submit your questions as soon as they hit you, and we're going to save time at the end of the webinar or of Mark's presentation to go through those questions. So, with that, hi, Sasha. Thank you for chiming in. Good to hear from you. So, today, this is the fourth and final part of our Gemini adoption series. So, 4 webinars plus 2 on-demand videos, one of which Mark did, that are designed to introduce you as the workspace admin, maybe the operations person, maybe the IT person at your company. How do you take advantage of all these Gemini AI tools that all of a sudden Google has given you access to as part of your workspace subscription? So, Mark, if you'll move me to the next slide. So, this is the fourth and final part. We're diving into my personal favorite tool, NotebookLM, which is super powerful. I think some of the stuff that Mark's going to show you is pretty mind blowing and a real like differentiator between Gemini and every other between Gemini and every other AI platform out there. But everything else that we've recorded is on demand and waiting for you in our HQ. So that's talking about Gemini within Google Workspace. That's a whole session on prompt engineering. Part 3, the one that we had to schedule or the one that we had to cancel on Tuesday, we are actually going to try to record later today. So look for that to be posted on demand in there tomorrow. I'll send out an email to everybody as soon as we get it up. There's also the 2 that were recorded before this series. One, as I mentioned, that Mark did on Google Vids. Fantastic, like amazing tool that I had no idea did the kind of things that it does. Highly recommend watching that. And then we recorded another one on security and privacy settings in Gemini. So a lot of you, when Google opened up the Gemini platform to your workspace platform, a lot of you turned it off because maybe you weren't ready for it or you had questions about the security and privacy settings. We have a video that walks through all of that and explains all the different certifications. Is your answers questions like, is my data being used to shape the model for other people? So be sure you go back to our HQ and watch that. Again, I'll send out an email tomorrow that has a link to it, has a link to today's webinar, which will be on demand, and the one that we skipped on Tuesday, knock on wood. With that, Mark, if you'll jump over to the next slide. That's enough for me and my clogged up sinuses. I'm going to hand it over to Mark Beckerin. He is a customer engineer. Many of you are familiar with him from our other webinars, like our G-Panel webinars. He's done a bunch of those. A lot of you have worked directly with him on your workshops and your implementations with Promevo. So thank you, Mark, for doing this. Mark, if you'll walk us through NotebookLM and take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Brandon. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. I'm Mark Buchanan from the customer engineering team. And today we'll be going over Notebook LM. Um, I'm going to be doing just a few slides just to kind of like bring everyone up to speed on what it is. And then we'll go into a live demo where I'll show you how to use all of the features through it. We'll create, if you haven't created a notebook before, we'll go through creating a notebook and just all of the features along with that. So let's go ahead and get started. What is NotebookLM? And so NotebookLM is your personalized AI learning companion designed to provide you with critical insights from the information that you provide it. Uh, and it really helps transform your research and writing. It's an AI tool that accelerates your ability to find, summarize, and understand information, and all within the secure context of your organization's shared knowledge base. NotebookLM offers several key features. First, it prioritizes data privacy and security. So that means that your personal data remains yours. It's not used for training Gemini or any other AI models. And for workspace accounts, Google ensures data privacy through no query or answer logging. Second, it's grounded in trusted information with inline citations for accuracy and transparency. Third, it accelerates the path from information to insights via powerful summarization features, which I'll go over a little bit later. And finally, it supports multimodal research, including text, graphs, images, audio, and multiple languages. NotebookLM lets you upload various types of sources like websites, slides, docs, PDFs, texts, audio file types, and then even YouTube URLs, which is very cool. And you can upload up to 50 sources per notebook, with each source containing 500,000 words. So that's if you have Notebook LM, just the regular. If you upgrade to Notebook LM Pro, which is what we're going to be using the demo, that source limit goes up to from 50 sources to 300 sources. So quite an upgrade. And you can then chat with these sources, and the notebook will provide you with grounded information based on them. It allows you to create things like audio overviews, briefing docs, and paper outlines. So with NotebookLM, you can quickly get up to speed on dense or complex reading materials. And like I said before, you can upload a variety of different formats and quite a few sources, and that makes things easier. You can also use pre-made prompts like the study guide or the briefing documents options, which I'll be going over to help get you started right away. And if you'd rather listen to a summary of your sources, you can create an audio overview, and that's kind of like this podcast style. We'll take a listen to how that sounds later. And if you're looking to dive deeper, you can prompt all of your data sources at the same time to gather insights or dynamically generate new content. And I'll show you how that works once again in the demo. But it's all about making your work faster, smarter, and more efficient. The main value add for NotebookLM, however, is being your research and note-taking assistant. So you can upload sources and start to identify key ideas or interesting facts, and just put together seemingly unrelated ideas. You could chat with NotebookLM to explore those sources and look for interesting connections between them. Create outlines for whatever type of document you're creating, which helps overcome the initial sort of writer's block that can happen to all of us. So imagine being able to instantly share critical knowledge and collaborate seamlessly. Well, with NotebookLM, you can create a single comprehensive notebook containing all relevant documents, whether it's for onboarding new employees, detailing product information, or outlining a class topic, and then share it with your team. But it goes beyond simply sharing documents. You can grant others the ability to add or remove sources, allowing everyone to contribute to building a shared knowledge base. And this really helps foster true collaboration and ensures that everyone has access to the most up-to-date information. Here are some common use cases by, I guess, role or maybe department or team. So for a sales team, you can use NotebookLM to help you prepare for meetings, and you can conduct product research, look into product information, things like that. For school teachers, school teachers can create lesson plans and study guides with NotebookLM. For company trainers or the HR team, they can use it to onboard new hires and then provide them with a knowledge base or existing materials on the company. For your support teams, they can use NotebookLM to provide quick access to help articles for troubleshooting. For your marketing team, NotebookLM can generate campaign ideas and other creative content like that. And for product teams, it centralizes information and speeds up development. So basically, NotebookLM can help all your teams organize information and create insights faster. And that's kind of just laying the guidelines and giving you an overview. But for now, we're going to switch over to a demo. Here we go. So if you haven't discovered NotebookLM, all you have to do is go to notebooklm.google.com and it will bring you to this page here. You will see that you can create a new notebook. Excuse me. You can create a new notebook here, or you'll have access to all of your existing notebooks as well once you've made a notebook. But we're going to go ahead and dive right in and create a new notebook, and we'll go ahead and get started. When you create a new notebook, the initial pop-up is the pop-up where you can add sources. I'm going to close that for now, and I'm just going to give you kind of a look around NotebookLM first. So we'll close that off here. So this is the layout of NotebookLM. It's divided into 3 sections. Over on the left-hand side, you have your sources section, and that's where we're going to add our sources. That's the first thing you want to start off with. After you've added your sources, the center section is for chatting. And this is chatting with NotebookLM, the AI, and you're typically chatting regarding the sources that you've entered here. And then over to the right, there is the studio section. And the studio section is where you can create an audio overview based on your sources. And then you also have other tools available to you. You have note-taking down here and a quick way to build out a study guide, a briefing doc, frequently asked questions sheet, and a timeline. And I'll go over all of those with you. Up at the top in the right, we have the analytics button. So this is when you share your notebook out with your team. After a certain, I believe it's 4 days. Let me double check here. 7 days. You have to share your notebook out with 4 people. And there should be some chat activity within the past 7 days. And after it's gathered that information, you'll begin to get analytics on everyone's usage. You have the share button here. I'll go over that a little bit later, but that's where you share out your notebook. And then you have your settings here. But do want to point out your settings. You have the ability to change to light or dark, or you can switch between light and dark mode. I'm in dark mode right now, so if you prefer my look, just switch over to dark mode. Also, you can manage your subscriptions here. So if you do want to upgrade to Notebook LM Pro and have access to all of the benefits there, that's where you do it. All right, so let's get started on making a new notebook. So first things first, we're going to add some sources here. So over on the left-hand side, we'll begin with the sources. I can add sources or I can hit discover. Let me go ahead and add sources. So if I wanted to add sources, I have a number of options here. Here I can upload sources from my device. And the file types that I can upload are PDF, TXT, Markdown, and audio files such as MP3s. Down in this section here, you can add in either Google Docs or Google Slides that you have in your Google Drive. This section here is where you can add in website URLs or YouTube URLs, or if you just had a pasted, if you've copied some text and you wanted to paste it in, you can use this here. You can see down here, there's a source limit, and it's kind of like your fuel gauge. I've got 0 out of 300 sources currently. I'm going to go ahead and add one source, or actually before I add a source, let me show you the discover sources up at the upper right-hand section. So for discover sources, if you can use this in combination with your own sources, but this actually helps you discover sources from outside of your workspace externally. So you just have to give it a quick prompt. I'm going to ask it to tell me about gPanel, a fantastic product. Let's see what it comes up with. It's going to scour the internet, and it's going to find relevant information about gPanel. It's going to give me, there's typically 10 here. Let's see. Yeah, I have the ability to, if I wanted to, I can click on this icon here to, it'll pop up the source in another tab, which you won't be able to see here. You can inspect the source and make sure that it's what you want to include in your sources or not. If you don't want it, simply uncheck the box there and it won't be included. Let me just take a quick look. I think all of these are legitimate sources. Yes, they are. So I'm going to keep all of these sources and I'm going to go ahead and hit import. So that's a quick way for you to find sources that are out there. And you can, once again, use this in combination with internal sources that you have. So I'm also going to add in one PDF from my own repository. All right, so it's adding in the PDF I just pointed to from my own device. And it's going to take a moment for it to become ready here. But I have 11 sources in all. Towards the right of my sources, you can see that there are checkboxes here. So you can check everything or uncheck them. Oops, I was on the wrong screen. You can check or uncheck them here. So whatever you've got checked here, that's what you will be chatting against if you're going to be using the chat in the middle, or if you're going to create any of these notes on the side. Just keep in mind, whatever you have checked here is what it's going to be looking against. You can see here that my chat has given me just an initial kind of like overview of what my sources are. And down in the center, I can actually I could start asking questions regarding my sources, just whichever sources I have selected. And it's giving me some pre-made questions down here. Let me just use a pre-made question because it's actually tough for me to even read this on my small monitor. So I'm just going to use that pre-made question. What security and compliance features does gPanel offer? Okay, great question. And it's going to look through all of these sources and get me an answer. And here we go. And I can continue to ask it. It can continue to ask it different types of questions, maybe kind of piece together, maybe information that I'm looking for. You can see here there's a number of footnotes and citations. If I hover over any of these, it's going to give me kind of a brief summary. But if I actually click on it, what it's going to do is it will go to that specific source and it will actually highlight the section that it's referencing. So you have a good idea about which source it's pulling that information from. So that's very helpful. All right. Actually, what I want to do, let me do this now. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'm going to go ahead and generate the audio overview because this does take a few minutes to generate. You can see in the upper right, it's generating. And what the audio overview is, it's a podcast style overview of all of my sources or the sources that I've selected here. And I didn't do it for that one, but you can also customize it if you wanted it to focus in on a specific topic. You can also use the customization, which was, it's not showing anymore, but it was here in the right. But we'll let that cook for a minute. It's going to take maybe typically it takes about 4 or 5 minutes to create the audio overview. So that I wanted to get that started now. Over here, I'll come back to the mind map in just a second. But over at the top, if you needed to refresh your conversation, if you wanted to kind of start a new thread of thought, that's what your refresh is for. It's right up here in the top center. You can just go ahead and hit continue. It'll wipe that conversation for you. And then this tool here, this is where you can configure your notebook conversation. Here you can define your conversational style. I'm on the default settings, but you can make it more analytical or be more of a guide, or if you hit custom, you can actually put in your own prompt to customize it in a style that you want. And here's an example. Respond at a PhD student level. And here's another one. Pretend to be a role player game host. So that's a couple of examples on how you could use the customized conversation style. And then also for your length, how long would you like the generated response to be? You could I have it at the default setting, but you can make it longer than that or shorter than that. So those are a couple of your settings there. All right, over on the right-hand side, we're going to focus on the studio section. The studio section at the top is the audio overview, which we've got cooking right now. So down below, here are your notes. If I wanted to actually create a new note, actually, instead of creating a new note, which you can click create a note, you can write whatever you'd like here, and then when you go back, your note will be saved. Let me actually just delete that one. Another way to do it is if you are having a conversation with Notebook LM here, if there are specific as you're having a conversation with the AI, if there's a specific part that you want to capture as a note, it's going to give you the option at the bottom. So let's say I read this through and I'm like, oh, this is a great piece of information. Just head to the bottom and you can simply save that as a note. So I'll hit save as a note, and it'll pull the last conversation. It'll pull it into a note here, and also if you wanted to just maybe just take a snippet, maybe I wanted to just highlight this section, I can copy it, and then that's when I would typically use add a note, and then I'd paste it in here, and then put in my additional notes down there if I needed to. So that's how you can just add notes, and these are for you to just kind of look at. If you wanted to convert any of these notes into sources, including the other ones that I'm about to go into here, at the bottom you can always hit convert to source, and then it'll bring that over to your sources, and then you can include that in your audio overviews or anything else. Other options that you have in here, you have pre-built options here. You can create a study guide. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create study guide. Actually, these all take a couple of seconds to generate, so I'm going to do all of them. Study guide. Oh, yeah. Oh, this one's done actually. So we'll start off with the study guide. Study guide. This is very helpful for if you do need to take a lot of sources and quickly be able to get up to speed. The study guide, it will build you out a quiz and then also build an answer key. It'll give you some essay questions, and this time it included, didn't seem to happen all the time, but this time it gave me the glossary of key terms that might be useful to me. So it does depend on the type of sources you have. In this case, because gpanel is a topic that does have a lot of like key terms, it did produce that for me here. But that's what the study guide is for. It's to really help make this information make sense to you. The briefing doc kind of gives you an overview of I only have 11 sources here, but say I had like 150 sources. Might be good to have an overview of what those sources were about. And typically it would also give me recommendations on that. So let's see what that that briefing doc looks like. Here we go. It's kind of giving me an executive summary here, key terms and important ideas that I should know about gpanel or about these sources on gpanel. Different capabilities and just a variety of things. It's always going to be a bit different just depending on your collection of sources that you've included. And then it's giving me a conclusion here. Okay. Sometimes it'll give you recommendations. This time it's a conclusion. So kind of based on your sources, but that's very helpful just to get a quick overview of what's going on with your sources. Next, we have the FAQ. Based on your sources, it can generate frequently asked questions for you. So here we go. It's ready. So here are some questions. What is gpanel? Probably the most important question here. And then it gives you, it gives you an answer. And then it goes on to just give you many, many more common questions and then the answers to those questions. Next, we have the timeline. So this was really source dependent as well. Based on the types of sources you have, it'll create a timeline for you of all the highlighting the key notable events, and then also a cast of characters if possible. So you can see here, I've got a detailed timeline of events, just different things that happened during the history of gpanel here. And then down at the bottom, I've got a cast of characters. So just notable characters based off of the sources, of course. So anyone that's been mentioned here and what their connection with gpanel is. So that's a pretty cool one to have there. I'm going to head back here. I said I was going to talk about the mind map. Where am I? Yeah, if you go back to the center section, you'll see this mind map button. And so what is this mind map? So let me click on it. And you can see that it's generating a mind map right down here. It'll be ready in a second. And so what the mind map does is specific, if you have a lot of sources, even just these 11 sources, you'll be able to see what it does. But it really helps when you have many sources, because as you're iterating with the AI, you could perhaps get kind of lost as to how information fits into each other. So with the mind map, it creates a visual representation of your information. So I've just clicked on it, and you can see just with my source information, it branches out into these, let's see, what do I have here? 8 main categories. I've got it's categorized into the overview, different features, the tiers, so on and so forth. I can open these up and I can go ahead and maybe I wanted to explore more of the tiers section. Okay, I've got starter, standard, and enterprise tier. That is correct. So let me see what's in the enterprise tier. And this is what the enterprise tier contains. So if you kind of zoom out, you have a great idea of where you are here. And then you can open up, several things. Maybe I want to compare the enterprise tier and the standard tier. So here would be the main differences between the two. And then if I wanted to click on any of these sections here, oops, I'm on the wrong screen again. I can go ahead and click on here. I'll click on the gPanel API. I want to find out a little bit more about that. So it's going to actually pull that information into the chat. And you can see here now it's telling me specifically about the gPanel API. And I can kind of maybe go from it's tougher for me to see now, but if I wanted to see something about maybe the shared drive management in the standard tier, I can click on that and I can get information about that. And then I could ask it questions, maybe comparing the two if I wanted, or, iterate on it in any way that I wanted to. But that's what this mind map is for. It gives you a really good visual representation of where your ideas are within like the grand scheme of things. It can be very, very helpful. Also, you can download that too. So that's also a nice feature. So that's the mind map. I can see that our audio overview is ready. So we're going to give this a play. The audio overview, what this does is it gives you kind of a podcast style. The amazing thing about it is how natural it sounds. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a play for a few seconds and we'll see what it sounds like.
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your stack of sources, articles, maybe threads, reports, whatever you've shared, and we try to cut through the noise.
Yeah, pull out the essential insights. We're basically here to help you navigate all that information.
Exactly. So you get well informed without, drowning in it.
Think of us as your guides for your material.
Okay, so that's the way the voices sound. And again, I just generated the default session. I did not direct it to talk about any specific topic. I could have though. I could have asked it, hey, focus in on the gPanel enterprise tier, and then they would have been talking about that. So there's a million different ways you can prompt it, and obviously you'll get a different audio overview each time. What's great about this is you can download this and you could save that. So if you wanted to listen to your information on the go, you'd have that with you. Also, we have this interactive mode. So let me click on that and show you how that works. With the interactive mode, the exact same podcast plays, but I can just interrupt it with spoken language at any point, and they will respond to me. So let me give you a demonstration of that.
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your stack of sources, articles, maybe.
Oh, hey, I think our listeners got something to say.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the gPanel enterprise tier?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. Let's unpack this a bit.
Yes, the enterprise tier of gPanel really steps things up.
So it includes everything you get in the starter and standard tiers.
Right. Oh, yeah. Go on.
Can you compare the starter tier with the enterprise tier? Compare the features?
That's a fantastic question. Let's look at the core differences in features.
Okay, so the starter tier, as we've touched on, gives you those core functionalities.
Right. Basic user management, email signature templates, device and calendar management.
And
All right, I'll pause it there, but you can kind of get a feel for what it's like to interact with it. It's very natural. It's a very easy way to get to the information that you want out of the podcast. So that's the audio overview section. Next, we're going to head up to the last part, which would be the sharing. So if you wanted to share your notebook out with your team, you can head up here to sharing. You can pick a team member. You can adjust their access. They could either be a viewer or an editor. So a viewer, of course, would have view-only permissions, an editor can actually edit the sources and the notes on each side. And if you wanted to give a welcome message, you can enable that, and you can write your own custom welcome message. And what do they have access to? Right down here, this is a cool feature. You can give them access to the full notebook or the chat only. And so what's the difference there? Let me back out of here. If you give them access to the full notebook, it would be everything that you see here, the sources section, the chat section, and the studio section. And yes, if they're an editor, they would be able to edit everything. If they were a viewer, it's just view only, but they can interact with the chat. And then if you gave them access to only the chat, they would not see sources and they would not see studio. They would only see the chat section. So you could load up your sources with, say, maybe like a company handbook. If you were like an HR in an HR role, maybe you could load this up with the company handbook, and then you can have your employees come here if they had questions, HR questions. They could ask about perhaps their vacation plans or their health benefits or anything like that, and it would just pull from the sources that are hidden to them and then answer their questions for you. So it's a really nice way to provide answers to your team members or your employees through NotebookLM. I think, let me double check. I think that about covers all of the features here and how to make a notebook and everything. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to some Q&A, and let me check our chat. I've been ignoring our chat. Let me see if there's anything there.
We do have one question in there, and just again, a reminder, everyone that's watching, over on the right sidebar, you should see the ability to insert chat. So we'd love to hear your questions. We'll address them now. We do have one. Before we get to that, I just want to say, like this, at the beginning of this series, we talked about, the AI impression that a lot of people have is, oh, it can write an email for me, or, oh, it can generate a doc for me. But really, when you get underneath the surface, there are tools like this where, no, this is going to fundamentally help me understand things differently. I can learn things. So one example of how I use this particular tool, right now I'm doing a vendor evaluation, a lot of complexity. They're all sending me these like huge PDFs. They all have different pricing models. I'm not good at that stuff. I'm a marketing guy. So of course I'm terrible at numbers. I can take all of that stuff and put it in here. I can put it in Notebook and say, hey, explain to me the differences between this. I'm a big podcast guy, so I, of course, default immediately to that. And I ask them, I love that ability to interrupt their podcast and just ask random questions. It's such a great way for people that are not traditional learners like myself. It's a great way for me to get, all of my dumb questions answered over and over, and they never get frustrated. It's remarkable. So thank you for that, Mark. Again, anyone that has any questions, drop them in. We do have one right now. The question is, I'm assuming that when you upload a Google Doc with multiple tabs, that Notebook is able to access all of the tabs, or does it just read the initial tab?
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Great question. So you can upload Google Docs and Google Slides only, not Google Sheets. In Google Sheets, I know that you can have separate workbook or worksheet tabs. I wasn't aware that that's a thing in Docs. I'm not sure, Brandon. Is that
it? Is. Yeah, it is. I mean, you can it's almost like chapters over on the sidebar.
Oh, those types of tabs. Okay, yes. It will actually read all of that. So if sorry, I was thinking tabs the other one. So with Google Docs, yes, if you have a type of doc that's constructed with those, I believe they're called, I forgot the term now, those side chapter tabs, then yes, it'll actually read the entire document. So great question. I can't demo it for you, unfortunately, because I'll be showing too much private info, but...
I think Rachel, sort of related to that question, what I use a lot is the copied text. So if you don't want it to look at the entirety of a document, you can just copy in and paste a section of it.
That's a great point.
It can use that as its source. Any other questions? I mean, it looks like it's a quiet crowd today, but thank you for the question, Rachel. Hopefully that answered what you were looking for. Awesome. Well, I mean, there's no need in sticking around if no one else has any questions. So again, as a reminder, this will be, we'll take this and put it on demand on the HQ page. Later today, we are going to record section 3, the one that we skipped on Tuesday because I was sick and our presenter was sick. So we will have that one updated for you, hopefully by the end of the day. I'll send out an email tomorrow. One note about that email will contain a survey. We'd love to get your feedback. For us and Google, this is a collaboration between Promevo and Google. We put this series together jointly. So we'd love to hear everything, like all of your feedback on it. Please be honest. You can be critical of me sounding like Snuffleupagus. I do not take it personally. So with that, yeah, be sure to check your email. Mark, much appreciated. Thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through. What a cool tool.
Thank you for having me.
And to everyone out there, we appreciate all of your time and attention. Keep an eye on your inbox and have a wonderful Thursday. Bye now.
Thanks all.